So today, we're doing something a little different. We're not just going to look at an interview. We're going to look at an analysis of an interview. We're diving deep into how one online commentator broke down an interview with actress Sydney Sweeney. And he framed it as, well, not a simple chat, but a high-stakes chess match, a strategic battle of words. So let's get into it and break down his analysis move by move.
But this quote right here, it basically sums up the entire argument of the analysis we're digging into. The commentator's whole point is that, from a certain moment on, Sydney Sweeney wasn't just answering questions anymore. Oh no, she became a strategist, on high alert, trying to figure out what he saw as a series of carefully laid traps.
All right, so before we can even get to the interview itself, we got to set the stage, right? We need the context. And it all started with an ad campaign for a jeans brand. The whole gimmick was a simple play on words, that Sydney Sweeney has great jeans, as in Jeans. But according to the source we're looking at, this fun little pun was twisted into a political thing, with some critics saying it was a joke about genetic superiority. And that controversy? That's the entire backdrop for the interview showdown.
And that context brings us right to the first big moment in the interview. This is where, according to the commentator we're looking at, the whole vibe changes. After some fun, lighthearted talk about the actual jeans, the interviewer pivots. And this is where the friendly chat stops and the so-called strategic confrontation begins.
Okay, here we go. This is the question the commentator flags is the first big trap. You see how it directly links the ad campaign to a major political figure, Donald Trump? The analysis we're examining claims the goal here was to drag Sweeney out of the safe world of fashion and throw her right into a political firestorm, hoping she'd say something that would make a juicy headline.
But it's not just the words, What's really fascinating here is how the commentator breaks down her body language. He argues that the second this question is asked, her entire vibe just flips. The laughing, the giggling, it stops cold. She locks in. Her face goes completely still. He describes her as listening with this incredible intensity, trying to figure out, just like the quote said, how's she trying to get me? In his view, this isn't just listening, this is threat assessment.
So, how do you counter a move like that? Well, this slide shows it perfectly. The alleged goal was to get a long, detailed, politically charged quote from her. But what did she deliver instead? A single, perfect, neutral word: surreal. The commentator sees this as just a masterstroke. It acknowledges how weird the situation is without giving a single ounce of political opinion. It gives the interviewer absolutely nothing to latch onto. The trap, according to him, was completely disarmed. Okay, so the first gambit didn't work. The direct approach failed. So the commentator argues the interviewer had to pivot. She had to change her tactics. This is where we get into the mid-game of this verbal chess match. And here's that pivot. Listen to this follow-up question. The source we're analyzing calls this one way more sneaky, way more insidious. Did you catch the language change? The specific name Trump is gone. It's been replaced with this vague, general phrase, powerful people. The commentator sees this as a very deliberate, very strategic move. So, the commentator lays out this alleged trap in 4 simple steps. It's actually pretty clever when you see it broken down like this. Step 1, the direct question failed. Okay. Step 2, generalize. Take Trump out and just say, powerful people. Step 3, get her to agree to a super simple common sense idea, that it's nice when powerful people support you. Who wouldn't agree with that? But here's the kicker. Step 4, if she agrees, the interviewer can then slot Trump's name right back in, and boom, you've got a headline. Sydney Sweeney grateful for Donald Trump's support. It's a classic bait and switch, according to this analysis. But once again, she just doesn't bite. She doesn't even engage with the premise of the question about powerful people. Instead, she completely pivots to talking about her work ethic. She talks about filming 16-hour days, being totally absorbed, not even looking at her phone. The commentator points out that her whole body language loosens up here. She gets animated again talking about her job. She didn't just dodge the question, she completely changed the subject from politics to her profession, and once again gave the interviewer, in the commentator's words, nothing at all. So at this point in the analysis, the commentator paints a picture of a frustrated interviewer. The subtle traps, the clever wordplay, none of it has worked. So what's left? Well, you go for the endgame, a more direct, final series of questions where all the subtlety just gets thrown out the window. And this next question is what the source calls a classic case of concern trolling. It's basically a threat wrapped up in a package of fake concern. The framing is, hey, if you don't give us the answer we're looking for, people are just going to assume the worst about you. You should probably be worried about that. It's an attempt to back her into a corner by making her silence seem like a weakness. And her response to this?
It might be the most powerful moment of the whole thing. Just one word. A flat, simple no. The commentator absolutely loves this, calling it a complete shutdown. There's no hesitation, no explanation. It's a total refusal to even accept the premise of the question. Is she worried? No. End of discussion. In that one moment, the entire power dynamic just flips.
And this is it, the final move, framed by the commentator as the most direct attack yet. The interviewer just lays the criticism out on the table and offers Sweeney an opportunity to talk about it. Now, the source we're looking at sees this word, opportunity, as incredibly loaded. He actually uses some very strong language, describing it as an offer for her to essentially apologize and grovel.
So look at the two columns here. On one side, you have the opportunity being offered, which the source frames as a demand to beg for forgiveness. And on the other, you have her final word, and it's what he calls the final checkmate. She doesn't address the criticism at all. Instead, she makes this broad, powerful statement about her own agency. When she has something to say on a topic she chooses, people will hear it from her. The commentator sees this as the ultimate, poised refusal to play the interviewer's game any longer.
All right, so we've walked through the opening moves, the mid-game, the endgame, the whole 9 yards of this deconstruction. So what's the final score? According to this analysis, who won this chess match?
And the verdict, at least from the commentator's point of view, is crystal clear. It was a decisive win for Sydney Sweeney. He concludes that she just masterfully navigated every single trap, refused to get baited or cornered, and stayed in complete control the entire time. She won by giving her opponent absolutely nothing she could use.
And that really leaves us with a bigger thought, doesn't it? We've just spent all this time breaking down one person's analysis of a celebrity interview as a strategic battle. So what does it mean when we start looking at media this way? Does this reflect a growing distrust between public figures and the press? Or maybe, is it just pulling back the curtain on a game that's always been played, and now we, the audience, are just watching a lot more closely? Something to think about.